Hey everyone, how's it going? This video is going to be part fun, part update, but pretty informal all around. Let's start with the good news. We hit 10,000 subscribers. To put that into perspective, with 10,000 people, we have more than 5 times more people than the town that I grew up in. For real though, that's 5 digits more than I really deserve, and I really can't put it into words how grateful I am to all of you who've stuck with me and supported the channel. You are all phenomenal. So, to celebrate, I asked my Twitter and Discord if they had any questions at all that they could possibly want to ask me, and today, I'll be going through and answering them. But before that, I need to give you all a proper update. So, if you're in the Discord or watch my streams, you probably already know about this, but I got a job teaching abroad in Japan. I'll be heading out that way at the end of July, and getting all the prep work for that has been hell and made me incredibly busy these last few months. So, what does that mean for the channel, streams, etc.? Well, for a short bit of time, there may be a lack of content. I'll try and keep some videos in the backlog so it's not completely empty, but honestly, a lot of it's going to depend on how much time I actually have. Once I am more properly settled in, videos should be able to roll back into the normal pace, and I do have a lot of fun ideas that I still want to tackle. I'll try to account for upload time so videos aren't dropping at 2 in the morning for people. While I have the opportunity, I thought I might try and do some videos about life in Japan as well. So, if that's something that you may be interested in, let me know. Also, if I can, I'll try and do some FGO arcade related stuff, but where I'm moving is going to be fairly remote, so it may not be as frequent. As for streams, it'll be the same deal where I try and account for the time difference so that everyone back in the States can still catch them at not 4 in the morning. Long story short, I'm busy moving to Japan, so videos may run dry near the end of July and early August. I apologize in advance, but know that I am not dead and have no intentions of quitting YouTube. Before we actually move on to the Q&A, there is one other thing I do want to talk about. At 10K, YouTube lets creators sell their own merch under their videos. If you have any interest in that at all, let me know in the comments what you have in mind and I'll see if it's something that we can put together. As of right now, the only thing I can think of is a mug, because Lord knows I want you all to have to explain what that weird orange thing on their cup is. Anyway, let's get to the Q&A. First question, can I eat your cat? This here is my cat Peaches. She's 18 years old and has been with me for most of my life. She's blind in both of her eyes, but whenever she hears me coming, she meows loudly and snuggles up to me. So no. Why did you give Oberon a toad outfit? This is in reference to my Smash Holy Grail War video. The reason is because that's about as close as you can get to his like weird cloak thing, and honestly I just think it looks funny on him with his big old bowl cut. What is your overall opinion on Fate as a franchise? Like, what do you like or what do you dislike and what do you wish has done more with? My overall impression of Fate as a franchise is that I think they're doing something pretty cool. To me, for the very least, my big draw to Fate, outside of like waifu and art reasons, is the introduction of new historical figures that I didn't know before. So I actually think it serves as an okay learning mechanism to like get to know different mythologies and cultures through a kind of fun lens. What I wish they would do more of, however, is to try and, I don't know, stay focused on a certain set of rules for what it means to be in Fate. Why do Jean, Seba, Nero, and Haagen-Dazs have the same face? The easy answer is because Takeuchi draws the same face on every female character, as evidenced by this gif. However, I think that you could make an argument that Nero is not truly a Saber face because she is drawn by Wada Arco, and is easily distinguishable from the others in the group. Plus, the rest of her design just beats out Saber's. Red Saber is better. Are you a history teacher? If not, what is your background? I am not hired on currently as a history teacher, but I am able to teach history in the US. My primary degree is in English, and like I said earlier, I will be teaching English for the time being in Japan. For a broader background, I'll spare you the nitty-gritty, but know this, I am forklift certified. What is a little-known historical figure that you think is not well-known but want to see in FGO? Oh, this is an easy one for me. It's somewhat unfair to say he's a little unknown because this figure is incredibly popular with certain groups, but he seems to just not be talked about very much anyway. And that is Anansi the Spider. This was one of my childhood folk heroes that would get read to me, and one that I wish more people were aware of. He is a trickster spirit from the area that is now Ghana and the Ivory Coast, who always seems to be able to outwit creatures and gods of much more imposing status, oftentimes though with the help of his wife. He's a really fun character and one I'd love to see added. What are your predictions for Lostbelt 7? My hopeful ones are that we get something along the lines of the Amazon rainforest having become a place where demonic beasts thrive, and that the civilizations there actually repelled the conquistadors with advanced technology, and then they expanded outwards or used their weapons that eradicated all life outside the forest, and now we have to team up with David to try and fix it. Realistically, the world-ending weapon that they summoned could have been a beast of humanity that actually managed to take root, and that explains why David has a grandservant. He didn't actually summon it, but managed to convince it to join him. Hopefully, Taiga is there, gets a buff, and an animation update. It is at this point that I realized that this question was asking about after Lostbelt 7, but I'm going to leave all this in anyway because I think it's pretty interesting. Spoilers for a bit. I think that what will happen is that the alien god will resurrect more disciples and attempt to do a mass summoning ritual that requires something found around the world, and that there will be a race to find it. Plus, a third party will be involved in whatever the hell is in Area 51, something along those lines. Where is the toilet? It's down the hall and to the left. Are there any servants that you think are missed opportunities, be it their lore or characterization feeling off or misused? So I have two that aren't exactly obvious. One is Fionn. Fionn is perhaps one of the most famous spearmen in mythology, period, and is essentially the Irish version of King Arthur. His portrayal in Fate is less of a stellar warrior and more of a thumb-sucking himbo, which is honestly pretty disappointing. His legends make him out to be a contender for a Grand Servant, but in Fate he's just a womanizing man who is weak to boars. Design-wise, I'm a bit disappointed with HPB. Don't get me wrong. I love her art and design, and her in-game personality is all the positive parts of her historical counterpart, but I can't help but feel we missed out on a badass grandma riding on flying saucers. Speaking of, who is your favorite old man? I'm assuming that this is in Fate, but I'll answer it twice anyway. Gramps, or King Hassan, is easily the best Fate old man, but there are a lot of contenders for good ones like Old Man Lee and Moriarty. Reinhardt from Overwatch is more of an all-purpose one. Mind you, he's inspired by Don Quixote, so he deserves to be mentioned as well. Out of the stories for each knight, which is your favorite, and do you think Fate did a good job portraying them? So my favorite story among the Knights of the Round Table is that of the Green Knight and Sir Gawain, but Gawain is not my favorite knight. I just love that story to death because of how well it's told. My favorite knight has to be Sir Percival. He was the OG Grail grabber before Galahad, who I also love dearly. His tales are always a joy to read, even if in the later bits of the myth he's more of a side character. He stands out as a pure beacon of chivalry and knighthood, and even to this day can be looked upon fondly. Opinions on various baked goods. I love them. I have a sweet tooth like no other, but above all of those, I love cheese danishes. If you ever want to kidnap me, you could probably do it with a cheese danish and a coffee. Which servant do you think has the strangest implementation, be its design or just weird introduction, excluding joke servants? Naturally, there are some whose designs immediately stand out, like Zhang Yu being a giant mecha centaur or Ivan the Terrible being an enormous elephant man. But one that I think is the weirdest, and the one that makes me the most angry, is Odysseus. With the Odyssey being one of the most read myths ever, Odysseus appearing as a mecha pilot is just... why? So much happens in the Odyssey, and Odysseus is such a complex and adventurous character that having him appear as a stone-faced robo-man is just off. I wouldn't mind it so much if it fit in with the story that he came from, and he served as a unique defining character like Ivan, but he was such an awful villain in Atlantis, no spoilers. So for that, he's got to be the weirdest implementation to me. They could have done so much with him, and they just didn't. Is there any way to stop the Japanese from gender bending everyone? I've got bad news, dude. It's not just the Japanese. I've already been gender bent and made hot, and I, for one, welcome our gender bending overlords. Do you think Brutus has a shot of getting into Fate? I could see them adding him as a berserker or assassin in the same event that we are given this render of Caesar. Honestly, I think a Roman assassination event / murder mystery would make for a great event, so I'm just gonna say, yeah. Of all of the servants that you have covered or will cover, which gave you the most trouble in terms of research? Oh lord. Well, the hardest one to research was finding literally any information on Suzuka Gozen, because I couldn't find anything at all outside of Fate that wasn't a 5-sentence long Wikipedia article. If you watched the Oni video, you may recall that her segment was like 30 seconds long, but I was told that if you look her up as Suzuka Gongen, you yield better results. You don't, it just flips it from Fate to Persona. For a character that I wanted to do in the future, I have like 2/3 of the Eric Bloodaxe script done, but Jesus, it's all politics and not remotely interesting to me. When it pops off, it's really, really cool, but so much of his life is just centered around who's going to take the throne of Norway, and not in like the fun, tyrannical sense, more of just like the War of Succession kind of thing. It's not interesting in the slightest. For future videos, I'll be honest, I dread researching little-known Japanese figures because I just know I will get almost no sources on them. That said, I never regret researching them because they've always been extremely interesting. Why do you think certain servants get their star rarities? I mean, you did say this in the tweet, it's all about the marketing realistically. However, I do believe that fame and notoriety do play a part in it. For example, Tamamo and Shuten are both incredibly famous yokai from Japan, whose tales are told worldwide. Meanwhile, Matahari and Shen-gong are more obscure and limited to where you research in history. Another factor is how well a servant fits their class. A good example of this is Kojiro. We know that his tale and prowesses as a swordsman warrant him at the very least to be a 4-star, but because he is summoned as an assassin, his rating has been reduced. We do have confirmation that this is something that does happen, because it was stated that Nero would be better suited as a caster over a saber, and this was proven with the added star when she got her swimsuit. Meanwhile, other servants who can be read as fakes, like the altars, get a star removed as well from their counterpart unless you're Jalter or Arjuna, in which case it's all about marketing hot goth thighs or catboys. With that said, there are still some servants that you raise an eyebrow at the rating because everyone knows they deserve to be higher, like Nobunaga, Lubu, and Robin Hood. How would you describe yourself and your content? I would describe both of these things together as being fairly laid back. More than anything, I just want to have fun making these videos and doing the streams, whether I'm getting 10 views or 10,000 views. If you want a realistic example of that, I was making behind the servants videos that were getting 20 views and I was stoked about it, and I planned on continuing doing it for as long as I could. That said, if I were to actually assign like an alignment, if you only watch these videos, you'd probably say something like lawful neutral. If you watch my streams, then you know that the answer is actually chaotic good. As for how I would describe my content, I would say it's easy to consume and just leave on in the background while you play games or do something else. The visuals are honestly less important to me than what's being said, and this is honestly my preferred way of consuming content, so hopefully you feel the same. So, why a goat? The final question. The answer is, it was an accident. So, one of the more defining parts of how I make content on YouTube and Twitch is that I have opted to use a VTuber model. There's a couple of different reasons why I decided to do this, not the least of which is that I don't have an identity on the internet. You will never find any images of what I actually look like. This is what I actually look like. The model that I'm currently using I made myself over a year ago, and I wanted to make something more defining than just a guy. I just thought that the horns look kind of nice and that the goatee seemed to tie the rest of the face together pretty well. By the way, this little tuft of hair back here, this thing, is actually long hair tied up in the back. Maybe one day I'll let my hair down, but not today. Honestly, the fact that I subconsciously made a goat dawned on me about August of last year. I kind of just rolled with it because goats are nice. I can relate to an animal that just spends its life on the mountains licking rocks. It's the perfect life, honestly. If you want to know what my plans are for the 50k or Twitch partner, I am planning on commissioning someone to make an Astolfo outfit for me, as was decided by my Twitch chat and Discord. So, if for some reason that's something that you want to see, you know how to get it. But that is everything I've got for you guys today. More stuff is on the way. Thank you guys again for honestly making every day something I'm happy to see coming, as sappy as that is. From me to you though, keep your chin up. Thanks for 10k. Peace out.